doing another little quick story time, or I could say part of a digital journal. When I talked about self-deputizing, every black person in the world has had somebody when they're going into a job. And hold on, it's getting too damn dry in here. These things get dry. Every black person in America has had a situation where when you go to work, you're doing your business, and somebody that's not a manager wants to self-deputize themselves to see what you're doing. That's a game, y'all. What they're doing is they're trying to knock you off your course. That's what they're doing. They fear. See, you're not hanging out on the corner, dodging a Rico, holding on to your, you know what, like you getting ready to jump on a stage somewhere. That ain't you. That's not you. You are an intelligent black person. You probably try to adhere yourself, like myself, to a certain code of conduct and a certain standard. So you don't quite fit the bill of the quote unquote dynamic that they think you are. That's a problem. So when you go to work, that's their workplace and war zone. That's their lion's den. So I'm going to appoint myself to make sure you're doing what I think you should be doing. No manager experience. But in this area, I've self-appointed myself to a manager to manage you, Negro. That's what they do. And if you say, mind your business, which they should, you're being angry now. See? Oh, he's angry. He's not playing with the team. Another thing they do, if you don't talk enough, quote unquote, they don't like it when you're in a position like when I was talking about with the data center or a BA or doing deployment, something where you do what you need to do, and then you might have an open gap of time. Now, they may not be doing anything either. They're sitting around talking about sports, talking about who's buying a house or a car or whatever. Small talk. Small talk is part of the job description in code. They don't say that. They don't say that. That's not in the job description. But by common law, in the race soldier mindset, that's part of the job. If you don't talk like they want you to talk, if you're not joining in and you're just saying, let me just do my thing and I don't care about none of that, that's problematic because you're violating their unwritten law by just saying, well, I'm just going to do what I need to do and get and just leave it at that. That's a violation of their unwritten law. Every black person could attest to this that's in the sound of my voice. That's a violation. Because, quote unquote, you're not doing your job. You're not joining in. You're not partaking in, which usually 97% of the time, it's non-constructive. Small talk is usually non-constructive. It's not usually constructive. It doesn't bear any weight into actually doing the position. It's just small talk. That's why they call it small talk, because it's not about anything. But they will small talk and get coffee and small talk for hours with no physical work occurring. None. And then come to you and say, what are you doing? Or he's off to himself doing his thing. He's doing his work. but he's not joining in, which means you're not doing your work. Do y'all understand what I'm talking about? So a lot of times they don't like us in those positions such as business analysts, deployment. PMs, you're constantly doing something. You're constantly doing something and everything falls on you. But when you're like a BA or like the brother that was telling me, well, I stay away from the business unit, I'm in development. They don't like that. They don't like that at all. Because you're able to sit there and do your coding and put your headphones on and do your thing. Like right now, I could just put this on now and it looks like I'm talking to somebody, right? Because you don't want to hear all that mess. You can do that. And usually when I'm in a lot of corporate environments and I see brothers and sisters off to themselves with these on all day, they probably have like some kind of development or some kind of business analyst position or something where they're not always in the mix, but they're doing their work and they're getting their work done. What is this? Are you able to cancel this request? So I need to go. Okay, so yeah, that's above my pay grade. I'm looking at some little thing. So let me see. I will close it out now on my end. So yeah, stuff like that. You get in there. Withdrawn from user. All right. Let me make sure I got my thing, my ducats in. Withdrawn from user. So this would be repurposed. Make sure. Yeah, so until they get their stuff together on what they want to do. And I think what I'm going to do is put these joints back on in a little bit. But yeah, see, just that right there. I did my job just right there. Close it. That's it. And everything I do, most of the things I do that are like that, if it's not something physical where I'm not actually, that's the job. That's the position. But as I'm saying is, you have people, like, remember, B.A. Bob. Remember my story about B.A. Bob? B.A. Bob was a business analyst. He had nothing to do. Well, he had something to do with the migration, but he's just working with the business on who's going to get migrated. And he was doing kind of some PM work. He didn't really do much. B.A. Bob, in one of my stories, he was literally just walking around drinking coffee most of the time, going in and out of meetings. And he had an issue with me getting my work done and sitting back and doing what the manager told me. Okay, is there anything else? Go watch YouTube there. I thought it was a setup at first. Watch YouTube. You doing a solid. That was the one I told you when I was at the manufacturing company. And I came in and wrecked shop. They had 2 contractors that just couldn't do the job, whatever. So they were already behind. I came in and got the project caught back up within 2 weeks. Go watch YouTube, man. Chill out. Take an hour and a half lunch. Yeah, they were treating me like a BA. They were treating me like a business analyst almost. Walk around, go have some coffee. The CEO had got kind of word of B.A. Bob being on BS. And he told B.A. Bob right in front of me, I don't want you giving DP any problems. If you give him one problem, you come to me. And then he sat me down in a conference room and wanted to know my outlook on the migration. And I said, you guys don't have an SOP. You don't have a standard operating procedure. B.A. Bob didn't like that. But B.A. Bob, under I'm White Not Say So, got undermined by a higher I'm White Not Say So. So B.A. Bob couldn't do nothing about it. B.A. Bob just had to be blonde president salty. But there was other people sometimes and would see, well, what is he doing? What is he up to? What is he doing in that little room? Don't worry about what I'm doing. Y'all are sitting around talking about Polaris jet skis for 45 minutes straight. You're doing no different what I'm doing. I'm doing absolutely nothing outside of what my job was. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. So therefore, I'm constructive. So you're spending time out of your day to self-designate yourself to see what I'm doing. Then some of them folks would come down to my little office and stuff like, hey, what are you doing? Are you working hardly working with? Don't worry about what I'm doing. Eat your sauerkraut sandwich and go on about your business. So that's self-deputizing. That don't just go to the that's not just that don't just go to the Zimmermans. You see what I'm saying? That goes on in the workplace. I'm a self-deputize myself. What are you doing, Negro? What are you doing? I want to know what you're doing. That eats them up to not know what you're doing because you might be minding your business. That bothers them. I'm breaking down the race, social psyche in the work, but that bothers them. They be like, man, what is he doing? They may not be doing nothing, but I just want to know, what are you doing? Yeah, your work's all done. You're doing your work, but I want to know what you are doing. I want to know what you're doing all of the time. As if it's a plantation. And my advice, stay in the question mode. Because the point is to get you to blow up and get angry. That's the whole point, is to get you angry and off your square. Because in their mind, like I say, you're not the dude running around. You're not twerking on TV. You're not jumping on the cop car. You're constructive. That's very problematic. They're like, okay, I don't want him in that position. He's probably making about what I'm making or close, or he has the ability to do it. And that's a problem. I don't want that. So let me go over here and get him off his square. That's why they do it. I used to wonder a lot, like in my early 20s, I used to wonder, man, what's up with this dude? Because we don't know each other. A lot of times when I was contracting, I said, okay, I don't know him. You can't have that much invested in me. I'm like a nobody here. You're permanent or whatever the case may be. Don't matter. That's problematic. They're like, okay, this dude might be able to do something. He might be able to get some game and give it to some other brothers and sisters. That's a problem. Tulsa was about jealousy. Rosewood was about, Nicodemus, Kansas was about jealousy. Well, they're self-sufficient. They're minding their own business. They're segregated, but we can't have that. That's the psychology. I'm sure you dealt with it. You've dealt with it before. I know you have. So it's almost lunchtime here. Yeah. Real talk. Micromanagement. Another 4 hours and I'll be head for the hills back on that express bus. See, with business analyst positions and data center and stuff like that, they got to give you the information. They can try to undermine you the best way they can, but there's certain things that they have to give you because, like with data center, if something stops, a whole business could go down. A whole entire business can go down. They could lose a lot of money. If you're calling up and you're trying to get some information from somebody, they're going to have to give it to you. Business analysts, they're gathering requirements for the business. They got to give it to you. They may not want to give it to you. They may not want to give it to you, but they have to give you the information. And a lot of times you'll be in a workplace as a black person and someone will purposely withhold training and purposely withhold information from you. There are certain positions they got to give it up. Sometimes they'll still try to hold it. I've been in situations where, they're talking as if they created it. Well, I don't want to give him the information. I want to shabby him off a couple crumbs of the information, whatever. You didn't create this. You're just another body. That's another subculture of self-deputization or micromanagement. Don't give him the information. Withhold the training. And you would think, okay, we're all here to do a position. Let's make this the smoothest thing, because you got to keep in mind, you are working with people that you don't really know very well. 80% of the time, you see these folks more than your family. Can you think about that for a second? I had to think about that the other day. You're with these people more than your family, more than your kids, majority of the time. If you got your own business, it might be a little different. You could bring your kids and show them the ropes. But you're sitting up here with people that you don't know, may not even like, majority of your life. And when you really sit back and you think about that, that's not good. It's not fun. It's not fun. It's, when you really think about it, you spend more time with them than your kids and your wife and your family or your husband or whatever. Can you really sit back and think about it? Have you ever thought about that for a minute? Unless you own your own business now, which is what we're supposed to be doing in the first place. But yeah, so you have to deal with them a long period of time. So if you have somebody at work, hey, what are you doing? I want to know what you do. They're following you around. They're acting like law enforcement to a certain degree. So get into question mode. You tell them, do you need any other information? Is anybody being mistreated? I hit them off with that when I was doing Citrix support. Well, you're not really gelling with the team. I'm been here 3 months, and I've already trained people how to do Citrix support offshore India, but I'm not gelling with the team. Why did you have me train people, but I'm not gelling with the team? I'm new, but I'm training other people how to do stuff within 90 days, but I'm not gelling with the team. Well, you're not talking that much to everybody, whatever. I said, has anybody been mistreated? Well, no. I said, my metrics are good, right? Yeah, but you got problems with so-and-so or whatever. I said, did this person say I mistreated them? Well, no, but okay, well then, ma'am, there's no case. I said, because we can't go to HR with this. You got to give me, you have to charge me. You have to have probable cause with what you're saying. So as I said, in that case, small talk was part of my job description. I had been undermined at one point in time for a financial company I worked in Minneapolis, where I was told, don't train him. Don't give him the information. They blatantly said that. That's what the lead said. I'm not going to give it to you. I'm told not to give you the information, and I'm not giving it to you. I went around him, still got my metrics up, and I said, okay, there's no reason for us to talk. You have nothing to teach or say anything to me. If you're not going to train, then there's no point for us to even communicate. And so I see him giving the head nod, keep it moving. And that became problematic because I'm not joining in. I'm not going to the bar. No, I'm not doing none of that. Because you just told me that you're not going to train me. So we don't need to talk about anything. Well, he's being aggressive. No. You said, don't give DP the information. We have nothing to talk about. And I still prevailed. He didn't like that. He ain't like that at all. So that's my little story on that. Until we get this podcast up, I'm stuck with this phone. So, all right, y'all.